You may have played poker, but playing poker in Texas is a different animal. This is the Texas Poker Podcast with Tyler and Clint.
Hello, this is the Texas Poker Podcast. I'm Tyler, this is Clint.
What's up, y'all?
And we are back after missing a week.
Yeah, that week just flew by and passed us right by. Especially, probably not the best after we ended up on a cliffhanger last week of how the rest of my live stream was going, and you were going. Did we even mention to anybody you were going to Vegas?
No, it was kind of a last minute thing for us. I mean, we were talking about Connecticut, about to finish the last 2-5 day, and then I just went to Vegas instead.
So, for the audience, we got all kinds of shit that we've been doing. Just we haven't been recording it.
Yeah, I mean, tons of poker.
Yeah, I mean, more poker than we played in a long time, and just haven't been in front of the microphone in a minute.
I guess let me wrap up that Mohegan Sun hand.
Okay.
I mean, this is going to be super lackluster. Hopefully no one was holding their breath for this breakdown. But I get smashed in the 2-5 game, in for like 1,400. I get ace-king, all in pre-flop versus kings for 100 big blinds. Lose and go home sad.
Well, that's good. That'll send you home sad. I will agree.
But, I mean, that was basically, the only thing that was even remotely noteworthy.
It's I was thinking about you because like you're always been the proponent of like just kind of go balls to the wall with ace king, and I was looking at hustle. I did some commentary for Champions on their live stream tonight, and I was trying to look at like some past streams like at Hustler Casino Live to see what they were doing that I could kind of mimic or get any tips, and I saw a big hand, and it was with Andy and I think her name was Linling, and it was Ace King versus Ace King, and they were $50,000. She was $50,000 deep. Let me see. He 3-bets her. She 4-bets to 12,500, and he jams all in for 50,000, and she ends up making the fold. And I was like, well, wouldn't happen to Tyler on there.
Right? But, I don't know. It's a little different when it's $50,000 and it's your money, maybe.
Oh, you're going to, I'll definitely let you know how that Ace King, I love like what Jamin said about it the other day, and when it was, what would he say? It was everybody's favorite unpaired piece of shit.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it these days.
Yeah, well, I guess we left off, though, for your live stream, right?
Yeah, so when we left off, I'm in for 1,500. I've got like 500 in front of me. I'm getting torched. Just every card that can come wrong is going wrong. I'm 3-betting, trying to make plays. I'm getting 4-bet every single time I bet 3-bet with kind of like marginal type hands. It's all going to shit. I can't wait for the live stream to be over, and we're not even halfway through. It's
God, isn't that so weird? Because, can you just, I guess you could leave if you run out of money, but definitely seems weird to rack up 500 and walk off.
Oh, yeah, it's a 100%. Well, yeah, I think I could leave, but it would have to definitely be a bust out. I don't think I'd be like, well, I know this money's on the table, but it was never really in play.
Or you win a big pot and just finally broke even, gotta go.
Yeah. So I'm just getting torched. It gets a little halfway through the live stream, and I'm just like, oh God, I can't. I'm super frustrated. It goes from just nothing will work out to card deadness, and finally I end up with pocket aces. This will probably be the only time I ever play pocket aces this way. But I am in the small blind. Yeah. So the guy to my left is 3-betting more than anybody I've ever seen in probably 15 years of playing poker. It's a raised pot. It comes around. There's like 2 to 3. There's like 2 raises. it comes around to me, I just go ahead and decide to flat call with aces. The guy's 3-bet more than anybody I've ever seen, and I just create the squeeze opportunity that, I think he's going to 3-bet a ton. What do you think about this?
I mean, you're not going to like what I say, but this is what I've always say whenever this happens. Every situation, right, is obviously, kind of has its different details in every situation. But here's my caveat to that: if this is what you do and he flats behind and you get stacked here, you got no one to blame but yourself. You get exactly what you deserve. That's what I always say. I understand that every situation can be different, but when I get stacked in a situation where I try doing something that I know is not optimal, I guess, it just kind of gambling, gambling on that guy.
Oh, 100%. Luckily, I make the flat call and he makes it 80. Folds around to me. And this is, I like to say, non-traditional in every part of the hand. I make the flat call.
I was gonna say, and I fold.
Yeah, super traditional. he three bets, I fold. Can never be too careful. Can't lose money that you don't put in the pot. So I just end up flat calling.
Is this heads up?
This is heads up.
Okay.
And my theory is, because I remember looking back at the stream, they're like, obviously he's going to raise here, and I just choose to call. The theory behind here was, if I limp and re-raise here, this looks just ridiculously strong. The pot, at this point, I have like 500 something in front of me. Once I call, this is now nearly a $200 pot. It's not going to be hard to get all the money in.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't mind any. I mean, basically, you're going to just rip it all in. You're going to check it over to him. He's going to bet you're all in on any flop, basically.
It's going to be around something like that. Mm-hmm. So I end up making the call. The flop comes king high. He down bets to like 60 or something. I make a call. It was probably like king 7-5 or something like that. Something... Nothing crazy. The turn is kind of a blank. Pretty much everything would be a blank here, actually. There's not one hand that I wouldn't put money in, that I would not jam here.
Oh, yeah.
So, regardless of the turn, he checks, I jam.
Wait. I thought you were in the small blind.
No, I must have been on the button. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely was in position. So I was the button, he was a small blind. So that's but he checks on the turn, I jam. He kind of hems and haws for a little bit and ends up making the call.
This seems nice.
Yeah. And then the river's, what we call it, a complete blank. Aces are good. He had pocket jacks.
Yeah, that seems, kind of a weird call with king high, but, king high on the flop, but...
Yeah, he's a very, he's a player who will kind of make light calls, make bluffs, and everything like that. I would say an action player, but, with definitely a thought behind it as well.
Kind of a little bit more savvy of an action player.
Yeah, I would say that. It's So, really, it didn't matter how I played this, because if it's aces versus jacks, we are going to get it all in anyways, because he mentioned on there, he's like, why didn't you raise, whatever? I was like, well, the SPR is going to really cease to matter at that point. Mm-hmm. But that was a gigantic help, because now I'm not by anywhere even, but now it's within range. Mm-hmm. From there, I go on a tear, just hitting like top pairs, going crazy, I hit I think 2 sets, and just go on the run of my life. I go from down over 1,000 to up over 1,300. Oh
God, that is nice.
Yeah, so it was just ended up just the terror from hell. Never been happier, because it's one thing when you're down that much, just to get back to even is absolutely the biggest win, and to get it back to where I am now was just great. So I run into a monster. They announced the last 5 hands of the stream. Nothing I hate worse than being card dead. I'm praying that you don't give me anything.
Right, yeah. Especially after that run. I mean, it would be a disaster to get stacked.
I am up over $1,300. I'm up, I think, over $1,300. I was down over maybe not over $1,000, like right at $1,000. It's been a $2,300 swing. I could not be happier to walk out of here with a profit. So I'm like, well, just deal me nothing, and I'm going to play tight and call it good. I get dealt ace king.
You know what I would have done in this situation? How many hands were left?
I think 3.
Well, whenever I get my first card, I always look at it. If I would have seen the ace, I would have put it on the RFID card reader and then caught the other card beforehand and mucked it without them being able to see it. But
oh, that's a great idea.
But that's just me. But
I tell you what. Not something you should do, but it's definitely something I'm gonna look at doing. Yeah. So what you call it? We end up I end up getting ace king. I'm never, whether really on a stream or not. If I'm gonna get hands like this, I'm definitely gonna play them. You only get so many of them. They're positive EV. I raise to 15. I think even more. I think I raised to 20.
I was about to say, that game was so big.
This has easily been the biggest game I've ever played. It's only 1-3. I played like 5-5 and stuff like that, 2-5. I've never played a game ever this big. There's been more 4-bet pots than I've ever seen in my life. I think I raised it to 20 or 25. Somebody makes it 75. There are 4 calls, and it comes back to me.
Oh, man. Now you're really wishing you would have done that muck it thing.
So, what do you do here?
I probably raised to like 500 or something.
I raised to 500.
Yeah.
It's one of those that even if you don't want to, like when I study as much poker as I do, like it just goes against your grain to make a wrong decision. I thought about calling for a split second here.
Oh God, that would have been the real disaster.
But there's all this dead money on there. Like I raised, there's now the person who 3-bet has been 3-betting literally just the most insane hands ever. So the 3-bet means nothing. There's a bunch of flat calls. You're not showing a whole lot of strength. So I raised to 500.
What if you just ripped it here?
He does.
No. What if you just did?
I thought about it. It definitely crossed my mind.
Because you take down all that dead money. That'd be pretty nice too. Well, then it also simplifies his hand.
Oh yeah. Well, not to mention, if I make it 500 and I get a call, there's 1,000 in the pot. My SPR's like 1.5.
It's like that's even if I don't even have as much as I think I have.
Yeah. So I make it 500. But guess what? It's not a problem because the 3-better ends up ripping it all in for $1,250. It goes to the next guy who tanks for a long time because I was like, well, once he does this, it's just gonna fold it around real quick. This guy tanks forever, and I'm like, there's no way you can have really anything would make sense. It's a good, probably 3 or 4 minutes. He folds. It folds back around to me.
What did he have?
He had pocket queens.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was... I honestly don't think it's that bad of a fold.
I was like, because I'm about to fold ace king.
Yeah. Getting insane odds. Well, okay, once it comes back around to me and I 4-bet there, I don't know. I'm not doing that with jacks. So I'm only doing that with ace, king, aces, or kings. So when you do that, you're either deciding to coin flip for just an insane amount of money.
Are you never doing it with jacks?
Not in this spot.
No, you consider it sometimes.
500 and a huge portion of a gigantic stack onto.
But I mean, it was just such a great spot for you too, though.
It's a really good spot, but
I mean, it's dangerous. I'm not saying it's fun. I'm just.
I mean, you know, it's also a good spot. Calling with jacks and hoping to God it's an overpair or you hit a set. But I honestly didn't think he got some shit for the fold. I did not think it was that bad of a fold. I think against my range here, like there's gonna be a lot of times he's up against aces or kings, and when he's not, it's a coin flip. I mean, I thought it was a perfectly fine fold here. It folds. It does end up folding around to me. Everyone else folds pretty quickly. Once I'm here, I'm never folding here. I'm making a snap call against somebody who has been getting it in super light all night long, and now I'm getting ridiculous odds. So I make the call. He has Jack 10 suited against Ace King.
Do you remember in the 1-2 game or 1-1 game whenever I was in the same spot for like 1,500 in a 1-1 game? All in pre-flop, just like this.
Oh, God.
You remember that? This is, I mean,
I don't.
Same sob story. Go ahead.
Yeah, he actually flops a flush draw with a ton of outs. Turn is a brick. River is a magical 10.
Oh, wait, he flopped a pair and a flush draw?
He just flopped a flush draw. But he hit the pair on the river.
Oh, God.
So I just wanted 5 hands where I could fold. It ended up losing. Got to be the biggest pot, one of the biggest pots of my life, I would assume.
I was like, there's no way I'm losing bigger pots than that and not remembering.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I would remember balling that much.
Yeah. How big did the pot end up being?
The pot was.
Oh, it was so big. There's so much dead money in there too.
Yeah, it was like 26. It was, like probably 2,900.
Yeah, so basically 3. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Super hurtful. So yeah, that was a stream. It ended up like I was still profitable. I think I was profitable like $40 after being up for 1,300. So it wasn't the worst for having been down 1,000. You know, it is what it is. You when you make that bed, you got to lay in it. But it was super funny because I was commentating the stream tonight. And in the last 5 hands, the guy who had been winning the most gets Ace King and mucks Ace King. I'm like, you know what? I get it.
Yeah, what's it called? I mean, he probably watched you on stream. Was like, I'm not being that guy.
I mean, you don't want to be. Trust me. If anything, that's a heads-up play right there.
That's so funny. At least it's on video, so I can go back and watch it again for fun.
Tyler's like, I'm going to fall asleep laughing to it tonight. I was like, I think he's actually crying on the live stream. So that was that. So yeah, that's my I guess not an unhappy story. I clawed back out of a huge ditch, but pretty unhappy ending to that story. It's So we didn't usually when we do these podcasts, we'll kind of do a lead up to Vegas, like everywhere that we are gonna play, different tournaments we might do, what stakes cash games. Your Vegas trip kind of snuck up on us, so we actually didn't even do a preamble. Nobody knew you were going, so we just so go ahead and give me the rundown of your Vegas trip.
So I'm staying at the Golden Nugget, and I had never played at the Golden Nugget room before. And, I mean, I go there, so I just went there for the first time ever, and they have all these promotions going on. Basically, if you get, I think it's like quad 8s or better, like, so all the quads, all the straight flushes, like, they've had, like, bonus from 5 high straight flush, and then, I mean, just all these different bonuses that were rotating on a progressive, so it'd start at 50, and then just, some of them were like, one of them was $1,200.
Here's a question for you while you're telling me about this. Do you prefer that they have the promotions, or would you rather them not?
I mean, This one I don't mind because, like you always say, this is one that people are gonna hit. Oh, because they have this one and they also have the high hand of the hour. On the hours that I was playing, every hour, whoever had the high hand got $200. If no one hit aces full, it would go to 400 that next hour.
See, I'm kind of the same way, especially on vacation. I feel like with these exact promotions and how they are like geared towards being hit more, they're probably lower amounts for the most part, but geared to hit more often. I actually do like these promotions. I think it adds something to the game, a game that can kind of sometimes be very grindy and dull. It's an added incentive, especially when I'm on vacation and I'm more incentivized. I always like Golden Nugget for this because it's one of the only casinos out there that has promotions like this. Maybe outside of between downtown and the Strip, maybe the only one. So I was just kind of curious what you thought.
Well, so I show up at the table. It seems like it takes forever to get on the table, but it's not really that long because they have so many cables going. And I show up and the table is just, a bonanza. There's bottles of Crown on the table. People are playing like 1,500 effective. Just the wildest game going on, right?
This is great.
This drunk guy is saying there's no more limping. He's raising every hand like $25. And it's 1-2. So, it's just kind of, just going crazy. And I end up, I won a few hands, none that were that crazy. I had one where, this one was pretty crazy. I had ace queen. I raised it pre-flop, got it heads up, flop trips. And I'm like sitting there thinking I'm setting the trap and everything. And then I river the queen. And now I'm like, oh, we made it.
So you have a full boat?
Yeah, I have the nuts.
Okay.
The nuts on this board. And I go all in. I raise. He goes all in. I snap call. We both have ace queen, which happens to be the high hand for $400. And then we chop the high hand. So that was kind of cool.
That's pretty good. It's kind of hurtful that you didn't end up winning a hand where you're almost 99.9% to win. But I'll tell you what, really nice to get that high hand to you chopped $400.
Yep. So he's got two. Yes.
That's a pretty good win right there, especially considering y'all were just gonna probably take a loss where the casino took a rake.
Absolutely. And then here's something else that was crazy. The game starts getting so wild. Some guy sits down with 10K effective.
Holy crap, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this game is just wild, right? Now here is the hand that was really interesting. So I end up rivering a 4-card straight, right? I think I had some random, the moral of the story is I ended up with a 4-card straight, right?
Okay.
Drunk crazy guy who I saw make an angle before.
And by 4-card straight, you mean you have a straight, and
yes.
It's just you have one card.
yeah.
Let's clarify that. I know what you mean, but I can, if someone were to listen to the podcast for the first time, they'd like, wow, some dipshits right here.
They still probably, but
Okay.
Like Clint went all in with ace king, but but okay. So this guy makes this. So let me give you a little backstory.
Okay.
This is the drunk action player. Guy bets pretty big on the river. He puts his cards face up over the line like he's folding. Right?
Face up?
Face up.
So you know what he has?
No. This I'm not in this hand. I'm just telling you what I saw.
Okay.
This is a hand beforehand. So he puts them face up, and then the guy shows him the same hand. And the guy goes, oh, I didn't fold. I'm calling. We're the same hand. And they let that play, and he chops the pot.
Wait, okay. This is very confusing. So he
Okay, so
flips
we're
it.
on the river.
Okay.
This guy and one other guy. He bets like, let's just say 100. He then turns over ace 6.
Okay.
Which was just pair of sixes, like bottom pair. Puts him over the line like he's folding. The dealer doesn't scoop him. And the other guy then shows him the same hand like, hey, look, we have the same hand, because we thought he folded.
Right.
And he goes, I didn't fold, and throws in the call. Says, why would I fold if we have the same hand?
Ooh, man, that's kind of dicey right there.
So I take mental note of this,
Okay.
right? So that's just kind of giving you some backstory to this hand.
Okay.
So we're now in this pretty big pot now on the river. I bet $100 on the river with my straight that I just that I'd like turned.
Okay.
And he had to have had a set because $100 was like 1/4 of the pot, right?
Okay.
So here, I'll put exactly what I had. So I bet 100 on the river. He said, so he has the chips in his hand. He slides them over the line and says a straight is good, and then waits for a reaction from me, and then doesn't drop a chip, and then pulls his chips back because I gave him no reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I told the dealer, I said, ooh, that's close right there. I said, I don't know what's going on with this. That's close. Like, that's forward motion, everything, you know?
Yeah.
He then calls the floor, and then the guy knew he was angling, so he just threw the $100 chip in. And then I was good.
Man, like, this is really good catch by you to have him call the floor on this. I mean, a lot of people might have just let it go or something like that. And like I say, I'm usually on players like this who's recreational. I'll be more lenient, but when somebody's obviously doing this as an angle and they've already done something that's already angly, it's very different than someone who's like new or just doesn't know what they're going on or is just, like an action and all that. I think this was a really heads up move by you to like have him call the floor, especially after seeing him already get away with it once.
Yeah, I didn't tell him to call the floor. I just said, that's close, and then the dealer instantly called the floor.
Yeah.
And then that guy put the call in. I won a giant pot, ended up being up $800 the first session of the night, which was, definitely how you want to kick it off.
It's nice in Vegas where you get like these dealers, because it sounds like this dealer knew like the minute you mentioned it that what needed to be done. Like sometimes when you're in different places around that aren't as well versed, I've seen it kind of just go weird.
I mean, there's just certain things that just aren't going to be tolerated in the casino versus things that might be tolerated in a poker room.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. That's I love the way that I love how you responded to it, and I love how the dealer handled it. And then, once that guy knew it was caught, I like that he did it even before the floor got there, too. I mean, he might be a crappy angly person, but you know what? Go ahead and just throw the chip in there.
No, he knew. As soon as they called the floor, he was like, oh, no. He goes, no need. Put the money in. Yeah, so. But that was, big win at the beginning, which was nice.
That's always nice. It always takes a lot of pressure off when you get that first big win. I mean, because kind of when you start, like, at least for me, on the game of a trip, and it goes kind of like sideways, and then you have another one, and you start to feel like it's like one of those snowballs that are just going downhill. It's always nice to get a big win at the beginning, and now the pressure's off, and you're like, well, if I lose a couple, I'm just back down to even, and I can restart. And if I win, then I'm really gaining momentum.
No, 100%. I mean, it was a very wild session. It's funny because, I was in for 300, but I was down to 150, which in the grand scheme, that's not that much off of a $300 stack.
Right.
But I ended up cashing out for 1,100.
Man, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so that was nice. And it was just, that was basically the big hand of the session. Didn't want to, sit here and tell you about me just getting awesome hands and people getting less. But, you know what I mean?
Tyler's like, I played well. I coolered shitloads of people.
I cooler people. I got the high hand. So, that's basically,
You know how you win at poker? You get sets when they get two pair. When they get sets, you get straights. But yeah, and I'm very envious because that was the first time you've ever played at Golden Nugget, and it's known for being uncapped, these wild kind of games. And every game I've ever played there was just just grindy as shit and kind of horrible. I've always wanted to, and after many sessions, never gotten there. And you go one time, and it's like the session that I've been wanting to see there every time.
Oh no, 100%. I mean, it was just nonstop action whenever I was there. So, but yeah, I mean, and I guess, did you also play any other sessions while I was my first week in Vegas, or after my first session?
I don't think so. I did the live stream. So this is what I've got coming up in future podcasts, because we're just kind of in a
catching up.
We're kind of backed up a little bit.
Yeah.
I have another live stream where it's pretty action packed on that, and then I also did commentary tonight. I don't know that we'll cover much of that.
I was about to say.
I kind of like just say like what it was like doing it for the first time, maybe. But outside of that,
Well, I mean, shoot. Well, that's fresh on your mind. Let's roll out with that. How was the experience of doing the commentary?
are we going to do any more of your Vegas trip?
No, I want to save them for the next one, because I have really good notes on them, but I don't want to mess them up out of order.
Okay, that's
That
fair.
was, yeah, because I was looking at it and I was like, I have some really interesting hands, but I had just had that guy angling, hitting the high hand, and then I want to get my notes situated for next episode on those. I just don't want to mess them up, because they're pretty good hands, or interesting at least.
Okay, so it was pretty neat doing commentary for the first time. End up doing the 1-3 game over at Champions.
So where do you record it? Are you in a different room? I mean, that's something I always wonder. Where
You're in
are
like
the
a
people
trailer.
out of the building?
Yeah, out of the building.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, and it's on a time delay, I assume.
It's on a time delay. So you're like each person has their own screen that they're watching, and you're doing commentary off that screen. There was a computer where you could see the chat and everything, and it was really cool. I was kind of blown away by how tough it was at the beginning, because I watch a lot of poker and everything, but it's one thing to watch it and keep up with the action. It's another thing to keep, you're having a conversation with the co-host there, and you're also keeping up with the action, and then you're hearing both the everybody with a microphone on the table and the host on there through your headset. So at first, I mean, it was a lot to take in at first. It definitely took a while to get like underway.
I definitely saw like your podcasting, I guess you'd call it skill, I guess, loosest terms, but like recognizing, because I tuned in to listen to some, like whenever there was down, like, dead air time, being able to keep the conversation going. And I could definitely tell like some of the podcasting kind of paid off on the commentary, because I would think it'd be hard to just, 5 hours, still 5 hours, no matter what's going on.
Yeah, it definitely helped with like the nervousness, because I've been, we're so used to being in front of microphones. And remember the first time we were in front of a microphone, we couldn't get through 6 minutes where we were like, we got nothing to say. What do we do? I mean, we'd have like a type of notes, and like a page. Now we have no notes, and we have a page of notes, and we're like 3 minutes 30 seconds into this 45-minute podcast. We're like, what do we do?
Yeah.
So.
But I definitely saw like some of the podcasting kind of be put on display a bit. That was pretty interesting, at least.
It was very interesting to do that. And like I say, you're trying to let the table like talk and do their thing, and then not talk over them, so that people, because that's always fun to like listen to the table talk. I didn't want to drown that out with us constantly going when that was going.
I know what you better say, but which one did you like more, commentating or doing the podcast?
Oh, podcast.
Yeah, okay, good.
It's well, I will say this: the podcast way less effort.
So it's like I do it in my apartment.
Yeah, if I had to sit here and talk to you for 5 straight hours.
Yeah.
But no, it was cool, because they're both alike, but they're both different. So they're both in front of a microphone. You're both you're dealing with with a co-host on both of them, but it's kind of It was a different experience.
Was it a little nerve-wracking, not like knowing it was basically live, that there's no edit that out or start it over real quick?
You know what? I didn't really think about it that much. Had you mentioned that before, I might not have even done it. So yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad I didn't call you for tips before I did this.
Yeah, I'm like, all that stuff you normally say during the podcast, don't say that. I can't edit it out.
Well, okay, here's the good thing about it is I had so little pressure because I was like, I don't think there's going to be that. I told the host, I don't think there's going to be that many people watching the stream.
Why? Why would you think
It's
that?
the first NFL game of the year.
Oh, showed you how much I watch sports, but okay.
And then Texas Card House had a $50,000 one-day tournament guarantee. So, I mean, I got to imagine a lot of people who would normally watch that stream, you know, it's going to be a Houston base, are going to be at that tournament. So I was like, well, this seems like going to be I can't imagine that this is a great day for.
Yeah, the numbers, right?
Yeah, so it was a little less nerve-wracking. Just because I was like, well, I don't think there's going to be that many. This is going to be a tough. There's going to be a tough sell against both of those things. Mm-hmm. But it was cool to have an experience of doing something different in the poker world that I've always thought that would be really cool to do, and got a chance to do it, and it was really cool to do.
Nice. I guess on that note, this concludes the Text Poker Podcast. We'll talk to you next week.
That was the Texas Poker Podcast. Go ahead and rack up, add time, and we'll see you next week.